Hey there, my friend. Today we're focusing solely on transfers. As you know, we have some areas in the team that are in dire need of talent. Here are the transfer news stories that have been circulating in the last 24 hours. Owen Beck could soften the blow of Ridvan Yilmaz's potential departure amid January link and £3 million move claim. Rangers in an open race to sign an excellent player as Fabrizio Romano shares what he's heard. Tommy Conway on the verge of a £4.5 million transfer amid Rangers' pursuit. Rangers linked Colombian midfielder training with an ambitious Premier League club. Rangers have a free run to sign a homegrown international after a trial sees a transfer decision. Let's dive into the details. Before I spill the beans, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around until the end so you don't miss any of the nitty-gritty details. So here's the deal. Felipe Clement is trying to rebuild Rangers, but it's like he's doing it with one hand tied behind his back. He's inherited a squad that's all over the place, shapeless and imbalanced, which is still affecting team selections and performances. It's not exactly the dream scenario for a manager looking to make his mark. Now, the initial signings under Clement showed promise, with young talents like Connor Barron hitting the ground running. But when it comes to experienced players, only Robin Prepper and Václav Cerny have come in recently, and early signs suggest they could be smart additions. But there's one name that's been floating around and is still available: Stuart Armstrong, a player who seemed destined for a Premier League contract. Yet here he is, still on the market, as Rangers look for someone who can make an immediate impact. Just a few weeks ago, Armstrong, who's got 51 caps for Scotland, was trialling at Brentford. Their manager, Thomas Frank, had good things to say. Great experience, great player, great career, and there's more in him, no doubt about that. But despite the trial, no deal was struck. With Rangers having released Ryan Jack, who's the same age as Armstrong, they're short on midfield depth, experience, and homegrown options. Armstrong could tick a lot of boxes for Clement, especially since his time at Celtic shouldn't be a stumbling block. He's got no allegiances there beyond his playing days. Clement himself has mentioned the need for experience alongside youth. It was important to find these young talents, but for the rest of the transfer window, there will also be experience coming into the building. We need a good balance in the squad and in the team of both. The recent match against Motherwell made it clear just how thin the bench is when it comes to game-changing substitutes. Armstrong, with his solid medical history and coming off a standout season in the Championship with Southampton, could be just the player to fill that gap. He ticks a lot of boxes, and honestly, someone's going to get a bargain with him. Might as well be us. The transfer window is still open, and that means Rangers have a chance to find a solid replacement. And one name that should be back on the table is Owen Beck. You might remember him as the Liverpool Academy graduate who shone at Dundee last season, even catching the eye of Jurgen Klopp. According to Give Me Sport, Beck is available for a reported £3 million, and he's attracting interest from several clubs, including QPR and even Celtic. Liverpool seem to prefer a permanent move rather than another loan spell, despite his contract running until 2026. Now let's rewind a bit. When Klopp recalled Beck to Liverpool for a short period, he explained it was because the young defender had made big strides after a couple of tough loan spells. It was good, Klopp said. He pointed out how difficult it can be for young players on loan, needing the right manager, team, and circumstances to succeed. But at Dundee, Beck found his feet and made significant progress, which led to his brief return to Liverpool when they were short on left-backs. Rangers are now in a position where they need to make a decision about Ridvan Yilmaz. He's clearly talented and makes a difference when he's fit, but Clement can't rely on him being available all season. Jefte, while versatile, isn't ready to step into that role full-time and has looked more comfortable further up the pitch. That leaves Robbie Fraser, who's fine as a backup or for rotation, but not someone you'd want starting every week if you want to keep the defense strong. This is where Beck comes in. He's already proven he can handle the physicality of the Scottish League during his time with Dundee, and it's no surprise that Rangers were linked with him back in January. If Ridvan's muscle injury turns out to be a long-term issue, adding Beck to the squad could be a smart move for Niels Koppen and the club. Sure, Beck might not have been ready to hold down a regular spot in Liverpool's squad, but Klopp trusted him enough to provide cover when needed. And with Rangers needing to minimize errors this season, bringing in a player who's low risk but high potential wouldn't be a bad strategy at all. So it looks like Rangers are going to miss out on one of their striker targets, Tommy Conway, who's on the verge of joining the Middlesbrough in a deal worth £4.5 million. According to Sky Sports, the Championship side has agreed terms with Bristol City for the 22-year-old Scotland international, and he's set to undergo his medical with Boro. Now, while Rangers aren't exactly desperate for strikers at the moment, you can't help but feel that a fresh face up front could have added some much-needed depth before the transfer window closes. Cyril Desires has been leading the line as Philippe Clement's go-to number 9, with Danilo playing as his understudy. And let's not forget Hamza Igamane, who was brought in earlier in the window and will be looking to make his mark when he gets his chances. But here's the thing. Conway could have been a perfect fit for Rangers. After an impressive season with Bristol City in the Championship, where he earned a call-up to the Scotland national team, a move to Glasgow could have been just what the doctor ordered. It would have been a signing to get the Light Blues faithful excited, no doubt. Unfortunately, it looks like that ship has sailed, with Conway's move to Middlesbrough all but done. It's a bit of a blow, but as always, there's still time in the window for Rangers to pull something out of the bag. So the race is on, and Rangers are very much in the running to sign Hannibal Mejbri from Manchester United. But don't get too excited just yet. According to transfer guru Fabrizio Romano, a deal isn't quite close at this moment. Speaking to Give Me Sport, Romano hinted that while Rangers are keen, they're not the only club with their eyes on the talented 21-year-old Tunisian international. There is a concrete chance for him to leave Man United, Romano said, but nothing close with Rangers yet. They like the player, they have tried, but there are also other clubs from what I'm hearing, not only Rangers. So the race is absolutely open. It's clear that Philippe Clement is still looking to bolster his midfield before the transfer window slams shut, and Mejbri could be just the addition he needs. Let's be honest, Rangers haven't exactly set the world alight so far this season. Drawing with Hearts and crashing out of the Champions League in the first qualifying round isn't the start anyone wanted. Sure, the Europa League is still on the cards, which is something of a silver lining, but it's not quite the same as the financial boost and pulling power that Champions League football brings, and that's where someone like Mejbri could come in handy. The young midfielder spent last season in the Championship with Birmingham City and had a brief spell with Sevilla before that. He's at a stage in his career where a move to Ibrox might just be what he needs to kick on, especially as competition for the likes of Mohamed Diomande and Connor Barron. It's still unclear who else is in for Mejbri, but if Rangers do come knocking, it could be a tough offer for the 21-year-old to turn down. And let's face it, who wouldn't want to be part of a team with ambitions of bouncing back and making a statement this season? So, it looks like Rangers are back in the hunt for some midfield reinforcements after a bit of bad news on the budget front. With Rangers bowing out of the Champions League at the hands of Dynamo Kyiv, the financial blow is hitting hard. Missing out on over £25 million in revenue is no small thing, especially as we head into the new season. Philippe Clement had hinted that there were two possible transfer budgets depending on whether Rangers made it into Europe's elite competition or not. Well, now we know which one we're dealing with, and it's not exactly overflowing with cash. But despite that, Rangers are expected to keep pressing on in the transfer market, with midfield being an area of real concern. One name that's popped up again is Colombian midfielder Steven Alzate. Now, this lad was strongly linked with Rangers back in January, and there was some buzz about him potentially cutting his loan stint at Standard Liège short. But, as it turns out, Alzate finished his season there and then left Brighton when his contract ended. Since then, he's been on the lookout for a new club. And here's the latest. According to Sky Sports, Alzate has been spotted training with Ipswich Town, trying to land himself a contract ahead of the new season. But Ipswich isn't the only club sniffing around. Teams from La Liga and Serie A, like Celta Vigo, Sevilla, and Fiorentina, are also reportedly interested. Now, you might be wondering, why isn't Rangers making a move if they were so keen on him in January? Well, the truth is, Alzate has made it clear that his preference is to stay in the Premier League or head to one of Europe's top leagues. In July, he spoke about his desire to keep playing at the highest level, saying, "I'd love to stay in the Premier League, if not definitely a top division somewhere in Spain, Italy, Germany. I feel like I've still got a lot more to show, and I'm ready." Rangers have been linked with a few other midfielders this summer, including Norwich City's Kenny McLean and Sevilla's Joan Jordan, but nothing's materialized. And just recently, there's been talk of a loan move for Leverkusen's Colombian midfielder Gustavo Puerta, though competition for him is stiff across Europe. So while Rangers continue their search, it's clear that they'll need to make some savvy moves to strengthen the squad without breaking the bank. Let's see how this plays out as the transfer window ticks down.